Hey everyone, it's Jon Pirincci here with the Comics Karma. Yes, hope you all had a great 4th of July and had a good time. I did. And it's great to be here again to inspire listeners to have a great life. Because if you really think about it, your life is much better than most people, but people complain about it. So that's what this is all about. Interviewing great comedians and things. It's our 9th podcast. Yeah, wow. Can't believe it's 9 already. It's pretty amazing. And had some great comedians here past 9 times, past 3 months. Amazing. Last week, as you know, we had Rich Scheidner. Very proud to have a 30-year veteran like that. He had amazing stories if you heard about it. Been on Johnny Carson, how he landed Johnny Carson of all places. Probably the best talk show host, the best talk show ever. As you know, lasted for 30 years. Until Jay Leno took over. He did it for 22 years after that. But he was great to have him talk about that and how he was on Married with Children. He worked with Eddie Murphy and on Beverly Hills Cop 2. Is just pretty amazing. I had that. And I did get a lot of comments on my website and Facebook that people do learn from these comedians and their karma, I should say, not comma. So it's very happy to have this service for you. You probably read in the past few days that the whole thing is about helping others, which in Hollywood people most usually don't do that, unless you make money for them, of course. So it's all about, which is pretty sad. But here I am to tell you about some people that helped others. They made money from them, but these people were just kind of getting started. You probably read one of the legends of Hollywood in producing and creating great comedy and other films was Jerry Weintraub. I've always wanted to meet him, always wanted to meet him. He had some great books and a great HBO show that was on a couple years ago. And it's called His Way. And he passed away July 6th. But the thing is, he was 77 years old. What a great career he had. He was doing one of my favorite movies. I'm talking about my favorite movies, and I just saw this about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't seen it in years. Oh, God, with George Burns and John Denver. Very touching and funny. I mean, I'll be honest with you, a few spots gave me some tears, a little crying. Not gonna be lie to you. I'm a very emotional person. So and spiritual. It was just amazing, especially when he talks about the things in the Bible and so on. I know it's like almost 40 years ago it came out, back in like 1977, 78. But it's just pretty incredible, and it's great things he did. But he did that movie. And he also did the fantastic movies like Ocean 12 movies, Ocean 11. He was very, very good friends with Matt Damon and a lot of the big stars, George Clooney. And but the great thing about Jerry Weintraub is that when he got started, he was flat broke, did nothing. He helped his father sell bracelets and things like that until he started working at William Morris and the mailroom, and then little by little he ended up launching Elvis Presley, and he called his manager almost every single day and said, I want to work with Elvis. And finally Colonel Parker finally said okay, and look what happened. Made him a huge star, and he made millions off that. He even brought back Frank Sinatra to popularity in the 70s. And again, the whole thing about it is 50 years ago, going from a poor family to making millions over the years. But the whole point is that he never gave up. And he followed his dreams by helping other actors, comedians, singers, many other talented people. So that's the whole thing. If you have something in mind and you love doing it, just do it. Whoever came up with that for Nike was pretty ingenious and brilliant. Just do it. That's the whole thing. Just also found out about Omar Sharif, amazing actor, and unfortunately he passed away too, and Dr. Zhivago and other great movies. So that's the whole thing, is that for the other comedians out there and other people out there listening, if you got one of those jobs that you're not crazy about, you got to pay the bills, yeah, keep doing it. But if you can look for something better and easier and more fulfilling, of course, do that first. Because you only have one life. That's the thing people, I talked to a lot of my friends and said, are you happy with your job? No. How long have you been doing it? 10 years. So you're doing a job for 10 years that you hate. Yeah. Why? To pay the bills. What else? It's just that's what I do. No, that's dumb. Okay? So you just have to go for it. And if it happens, see, here's the thing, everyone listening. If it happens after you do something, like I wrote a book, and that's what this is based on, What's a Little Wind, about a Auschwitz survivor. I never wrote a book in my life. I never even thought about writing a book, but I was inspired by a man named Joel Bauer, and he told me all about how everyone has a book of themselves. So the next day, about a few weeks later, I woke up one morning and I said, gee, let's write a book called What's a Little Wind. That's what the guy said to me about hurricane coming during Hurricane Andrew in 1992 when he went through Auschwitz. He looked at me and goes, what's a little wind compared to what he went through. So I wrote a book. Why? Just to see if I could. Did it sell a lot of copies? It sold a few. But that's not the point. I did it because I wanted to see if I could do it. And through that book came this Comics Karma podcast. And now I'm doing a live version Saturday night about this at Improv Olympics West, Saturday night on the July 18th. So pretty excited about that. But that's my whole point, is you just go ahead and follow it. So don't ever forget about that, and just keep it going. Just keep a good perspective on life. It is short. It goes fast. It's just amazing that I'm here 16 years in L.A. pursuing my dreams. And I like to kind of spread the good karma out there, which kind of brings me to my next guest. And it's just absolutely amazing that I've known. His name is TK, but his real name is Timothy Kevin Matteson. And the funny thing is, I've known TK. I'm laughing because I just found this out this morning. I've known TK for about 15 years. And we hung out together, we did shows together, and he's an extremely funny guy. But the thing is, I never knew his real name, Timothy Kevin Matteson, until yesterday. I don't know why I never even asked. But he's an amazing comedian. He books a lot of rooms around L.A. and he's done movies and so on. And I just want to say, welcome, TK, to my podcast.
Thanks, John. I never really told you my name because of witness protection, but now you blew that out the window. So that's cool. They'll be knocking the doors down any minute now. The FBI.
Damn
that's
it.
Cool. Yeah.
Damn it.
No worries. Good to be here, man. Good. I didn't know Omar Sharif passed away.
Yeah.
He was also great in Funny Girl with Barbra Streisand.
That's right. That's right. I was going to forget.
Yeah.
I mentioned
Dr. Zhivago is a great movie if you have 9 hours to kill. Just go ahead and watch that one.
Yeah, I know. I was watching part of it last night, actually, and I'm watching like a half an hour of it. I said, man, this is a long, slow movie.
Yeah, young guys today, young people, they don't have the attention span.
No, they don't.
They don't.
They don't.
It was just funny that you were talking about when you were talking about Jerry and how he started at William Morris and the mailroom, and that's how people used to get brought up into the business. You had to start like at the mailroom because they wanted you to know the entire company.
Right.
When you took up now, these junior executives are like 22. They want to hire their best friend. They have no idea about not with everybody, but a lot of them have no idea about the business. A couple of years ago, I was showcasing in Montreal, and the girl who was making the decisions was 19 years old. Okay.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who you're sleeping with. You have no.
19
You have
years old.
no business. And she's like, I know what's funny. Do you? Because I see your makeup, so maybe. But outside of that, you have no concept.
I watch these stupid YouTube videos and see how funny that is.
Not good.
No, that is amazing. I never see. I love doing these interviews because I never knew that.
She wasn't there the next year, but yeah, she was there that year.
It's
so
incredible.
I guess whoever she was sleeping with got
and
tired.
She's judging what your talent. And,
absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, people, never call me JP. Well, I go by John with no H or sometimes Johnny, but I'll call you TK.
People call you John with no H?
Sometimes.
That's too long, man.
I know, right? Just call me John, okay? Jeez. But, yeah, you've been around for quite a long time, and it's pretty amazing. Book a lot of rooms and done rooms and things like that. But, the whole thing is that, TK, exactly, I know you're not from L.A.
No.
How did you get into comedy? When did you move to L.A.?
So it's so funny that you, the reason I ever wanted to do stand-up. Now, if I told this story, 3 years ago, everybody would be like, oh, God, that's amazing. But to be honest with you, my dad, who was a prominent jazz musician, his favorite comic was Bill Cosby. And because Bill Cosby did not cuss, I got to listen to Cosby, and at a young age, I wanted to be like Cosby. Today, that's like saying, how'd you become a chef? Well, I was a big fan of Jeffrey Dahmer. That's not what you want to, because you find all this stuff out about Cosby now and what's going on. And people
I know, right?
But, you can't, you got to separate the art and go, in the 60s, he was absolutely phenomenal.
Right.
He was, and because that was the kind of comedy that I was able to listen to, my dad listened to Cosby all the time.
Right.
So I grew up listening to him, and then I just decided I wanted to do stand-up. So I got into it when I was about 22, I guess.
Okay.
And did really well for a little while. I was getting paid, not a lot, but I get $50 here, $50 there. I was opening. I was right around the circles that Ron White was starting out. I'd see him a lot around town, and I actually worked with him a few years ago at the Improv. He's a great guy, and he's a phenomenal talent.
What year did you move to L.A.?
I moved to L.A. in '99.
Okay,
so
I moved here in '98.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved. Yeah, moved you right after I met.
Yeah.
You moved, and I moved. Yeah.
So I started for a while, then I quit for 4 years because I had 4 of the worst sets ever, back to back to back to back. So I quit and didn't know if I wanted to do stand-up. I was working in nightclubs, and then got back into doing comedy, but I was also working nightclubs, so I was just saving my money with the idea that I was going to move out here, which is what I did.
Okay.
So I started working the strip clubs in Texas, which is, if you want to go to strip clubs, Texas is the place to go.
So tell us all about that. How the heck did you get into managing strip clubs in what part of Texas?
Right in Dallas. Actually, I had a guy.
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
I hired this guy.
TK, is that you? Okay, come on. Let's go take look at some titties.
They call them titty ballers.
Titty ballers.
So I hired this guy, Jared Hill, on an interview at a nightclub to bounce for my security team. I was head of security at Dallas Alley. I was an assistant manager of security. I liked him. I hired him. He actually became a really good friend of mine, and we were living together for a while. And then he got fired over some just bullshit stuff. Ended up getting a job in strip clubs and said to me, dude, the money is way better here. I can get you an interview. And then got me on.
Huh.
And then I did that for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but you were still in Texas, or were you going back?
Yeah, I was still in Texas now. And then And then
I remember you told me you used to go back and forth.
Right.
Too.
I came out here with a lot of money, but I was taking care of my mother. I bought her a car, and I was still spending money I was making it.
That's right.
And then about 2 years later, they offered me to come back, and I would fly back Monday through Thursday, work the club, come back and do my shows Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's right, yeah.
And then fly back on Mondays. I did that for a year. And then I just decided that, no, I got to be in L.A. full time.
That's great. And then, you must have some funny stories about working at the at these strip clubs in Texas and what kind of characters you saw. And
Oh yeah, I mean, I there were times that I
pick
found
up some routines.
I
from there.
found one time I found a guy's underwear in VIP stuffed under the couch. Yeah, that girl was fired. You know, a lot of slutty girls, but I don't really want to get into my mom. She
Oh man.
she was no.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, two of my best friends. One worked there. One was my best customer. Now one's a cop and one's owns a security business, and they're my best friends. They live in Dallas, and their wives get along with my wife, who's also a comic. Carrie, she was going to try to make it today, but she had a radio gig that she picked up that she had to do. So,
So was your mom and dad brothers and sisters? Do you have brothers and sisters?
yeah, I have. It's interesting. I have. My dad was married to this girl named Janice, and then she had a son with him, with my dad, Mark, and then years later he got divorced, married my mother, or was with my mother. My mom got pregnant, and then my dad went back home just to see his son and his ex-wife, just to see his son, and actually slept with his ex-wife, got her pregnant.
Oh my
Came back, married my mother. So my dad has 2 kids from the first marriage, 2 from the second marriage, but I'm older than one by like 3 months.
Wow.
And then years later, my mother's sister came to live with us, who was much younger. She was like 21. I think my mom was like 31, and my dad was like 41. And they had an affair, and my dad and my mother split up, and my dad married my mother's sister. And they stayed married till he passed away, like 21 years ago.
Yeah. So
Actually, like 23 years ago.
So you're close to your brother, you said, or you know?
Yeah, I am. I am close to my brother.
Did you ever come out to visit you or anything? Or?
No, he's married with 2 kids. He lives in Florida. He's a teacher.
Oh, okay.
I have my
What
other
part of
brother,
Florida?
John, who's younger than me by like 3 months. He actually plays jazz in Vegas, so I see him on occasion. And then my oldest brother owns a pest control company in Dallas, so
Okay.
I see them.
What part of Florida is your brother in?
He lives near Disneyland. That's all I know because his
Disney
wife
World.
works at
Disney
Disney
World.
World. Yes, Disney World.
Orlando.
That would be a drive, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
He,
yeah. Can you
lives in
imagine?
Florida, but she.
I was
right.
actually just in Orlando 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I had a great time. I used to live there.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
from like 89 to like 92, 88 to 92 in that 4 years. And I haven't been there in 12 years, and I talked about this at the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And then I had a great time. I saw places that I'd never seen in 12 years, and I saw my old friends I haven't seen in a long time. And it's actually a very nice place to live. Actually.
Yeah, my dad lived in Jacksonville for a while. It's nice. I do love L.A. though. It's fantastic. You know.
Yeah, it really is. You know, it's a great place. L.A. is like Florida, beautiful weather, without the humidity and bugs
And the Cubans.
on the queue.
Hey, a good fastball though. What are you going to do? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that.
And I mentioned that in my comedy act, that people go up to me and say, "Hey, John, do people talk like Al Pacino from Scarface?" And I just look at him and go, yeah, they do. You got a freaking problem with that, man? Huh? You cockroach. Hey, screw you. Hey. So, say hello to my little friend. The air conditioning in my freaking apartment. So, yeah, that's funny. So, yeah, you know, my dad and my mom, my dad was a doctor, but he was a, old-fashioned kind of guy. He wasn't very funny. But my mom is really very funny. That's where I got that from. My 2 brothers, they're okay. One's a doctor and one's into real estate.
Yeah, it's funny. You don't really. Everybody's in show business, or you've always got the one person.
It's exactly.
Yeah,
I'm like the
it's
only
not-
one. You know, you figured my other, a lot of family and relatives would get into it. No.
Yeah, I was surprised because my dad. He used to play with like Ellington and Basie. My dad actually made an album with Louis Armstrong in the
That's great.
'60s.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Dukes of Dixieland. It was Louis Armstrong and the Dukes of Dixieland. And my dad plays tuba on that. So,
Did you ever meet Louis Armstrong?
No, I did meet Buddy Rich once.
Oh, yeah.
I met Maynard Ferguson. I met. I mean, not everybody who's famous. I got to meet Bradford Marsalis one time because my dad also taught jazz in North Texas.
Oh, okay.
So that's what he loved to do. He loved to teach, or he could have been, I think, a lot more popular. But he felt the art was dying out. So in '69, he started the jazz program at North Texas, and did that until he got cancer. And then he moved to Florida, where he could teach and also go to the Mayo Clinic.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool for you if you met Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
Hey, TK, let's go.
So wonderful. Yeah.
It's a wonderful day.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And I see, again, I never knew that about the jazz. So you didn't want to get into jazz.
No, I actually
like
did.
That,
I was actually considered a prodigy when I was a kid.
What did you play?
I played trumpet.
Really?
But when my dad and my mother divorced and he married my mother's sister, I was so angry at my dad, I just put the trumpet down for like 2 years.
Oh.
And when I picked it back up, I just didn't have the chops anymore. I didn't play as well. I didn't read music as well.
Right.
And also, my grandfather lived with us. My dad's father lived with us. And when my dad left with my mom's sister, he wanted my grandfather to go, and he decided to stay with us.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the same time. Shortly after that, my grandfather died, who made me practice 4 hours a day. And my dad married my mom's sister, so I just put it down.
Yeah.
And didn't play for like 2 years.
Yeah, I know how that is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine that. Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So you see, now isn't that funny that you didn't pursue the jazz and the trumpet, but you got into comedy, and
Because it's easier. We're lazy as comics. Come on, let's be
it's
honest.
true. It's just so much easier to do. It's easy for me to do impressions and and comedy. It's. I mentioned this in my podcast before that I started doing voices when I was like 9 years old, man. Make fun of students and
Yeah,
teachers
I
and
do some
everything.
impressions, but I don't do it because I do old impressions that nobody remembers, like
who?
Ed Sullivan. We got a really big share for today. An incredible Beethoven. And people are like, who is that?
Exactly.
Or like Nixon, Jerry. Oh, I am not a crime. So
Yeah.
nothing that matters, like nothing current. So
I know. Believe it or not, it's amazing that I do bring up people from like 30, 40 years ago. When I was doing a show a couple weeks ago, and I actually did, and just for the hell of it, I just threw in, I said, I was just watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and I just love Spicoli, and I actually did this, I auditioned for Dana Carvey at the Flappers show. And I did this.
You were there with Justin Ruppel, my buddy, who also... Yeah.
So I was there, and I did very good. But my whole point is, I didn't think they were going to get it because there were a lot of kids in the 20s, weren't even born yet. But I just threw it in. I said, yeah, I was hanging out with Jeff Spicoli, and he said, my time is your time, Mr. Hand. Nothing like a little feast on our time. And everyone started laughing. They knew who he was.
But that's a classic movie, too.
Exactly. They knew who he was. And it's like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
You dick. So... And I've been doing that for 30 years, and it's like, man, it's all... I guess the classic movies people can...
Yeah, they do,
Listen to,
Absolutely.
That's freaking funny, man. And so you got married. How'd that happen?
Well, you know what? I guess about almost 5 years ago, I met the love of my life, and she dumped me, so I married my wife. And, it's been... No, I was actually, interesting story, I was actually on my way to hook up with this chick that I banged occasionally, because I'm such a good person. And a buddy of mine called me and he said, man, I'm at Dylan's. Why don't you come by and see me? And I'm like, nah, I'm just going to chill here at the crib till I go to Santa Monica to see, this girl. And he's like, I haven't seen you in like 3 months. You better come by. And I was like, all right. So I was upstairs at Dylan's drinking glass of wine, and the girl who ended up being my wife, Kara, walked up with a friend of hers, and she was wearing this banging black dress, and we just started talking.
Yeah.
And I still left. I still went to go see that girl, but my car wouldn't start. It was in valet, and when they got it there, it turned it off, and I went to turn it off, and it wouldn't start. And then it finally started, and I lived right around the corner, so I just went home, turned my car off, turned it on, it would not start, finally started.
Wow.
And I called that girl and I said, hey, I'm going to have to see you some other time. I need a new battery. And then the next day, Karen and I just started Facebooking and talking, and then that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just hit it off with the right
Yeah, and I didn't know she was a comic. I didn't know she was from Texas. I didn't know all these things.
She's from Texas?
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't know she was a Christian, like I am too. And all these things just clicked into play,
That's great.
Yeah, and we've been married 3 years, August 10th, and we've been together about 4.5 years. We had about a 4-month split, but yeah, she went to Austin to seek her fame and fortune, and then 4 months later, came back and slept on my couch for a while, and then.
So is she religious like you too? And
Yeah, she's a tremendous talent. She really is. She doesn't.
she's funny. She obviously
Yeah.
we did a show together a couple years ago.
She doesn't do.
She was really funny. She was
setup,
doing these,
and she was just messing around too.
I know. She was
Yeah.
like saying they doing singing and stuff. And
Yeah, she does
it's
singing
like,
impressions.
It's like that was really good.
Yeah,
She's one of the funniest people.
she
ever,
does a
man.
lot of singing impressions. She does like Britney Spears. She does Christina Aguilera. She does Lana Del Rey. She does Lady Gaga. Really good. She does a bunch of stuff.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So you guys hit it off.
Yeah.
Because I know she was not your type.
No, she's a white girl.
I was gonna say.
That's
She's
no joke,
white
people.
with blonde
Yeah.
hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, I've never dated. I really dated many blondes. We just clicked, and you don't want to fight love, so.
That's all I date is blondes. Blonde and blue eyes. Seriously,
Yeah,
very nice.
that was never my MO.
Yeah, I don't know why. I've always been into that.
Yeah, and she wasn't quite. For me, you also sluts. So, the strip club for 10 years. What are you gonna do?
I know. So, do you have any funny stories from being on stage? Any like Rich Scheidner? I mean, like he was telling me all these crazy things, running into alcoholic guys there, and you told me about being on Carson. And do you have any funny, weird things that happened?
Accolades on stage?
No, like people that made fun of you. Kind of did things in the audience, like that heckled you, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's funny, but I work so quick that it's hard for people to heckle me. It really is because they miss what I'm saying. So I've never really had an issue with people heckling me. It's just because I worked, and I think I developed that style out of fear of getting heckled. So and then it just took on a life of its own. So I've never had issues really with people heckling me. When I was younger, of course, a little bit, but I don't remember, when I first started.
Oh, yeah.
People would say you suck, but I shouldn't have invited my parents to the show,
Yeah.
You're like, what do you do? I mean, and I've eaten it like a buffet before. I have bombed, but I'm one of those guys that gets off quicker if I'm not doing well. I don't try to prolong the agony,
Yeah.
and stay up there to try to get that last hit in.
Well, try having like my brother was at our show 3 days ago, Saturday, and he hasn't seen me do live comedy in years. I can't
Lucky
even,
him. No,
I
I'm
can't,
just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And I can't remember the last time he saw me do stand up. I mean,
No, you had a good set. You did good.
Yeah, I did a great time and great audience.
Yeah.
But of course, after the show, he starts hammering me.
Yeah, of
saying,
course.
"Oh, you should do this, you do that." And it's kind of,
Yeah, it's always easy when you've never been on stage.
Exactly.
You know what you should do?
Exactly. Do this or do like this, And he's still like that, but he's my brother.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
Yeah.
They did.
You know what you should do? Not listen to you.
Exactly.
You're a podiatrist. I have no interest in listening to what you have to say.
Right. He usually the guy in the real estate. It's like, tell me about real estate. Don't tell me about comedy. Okay.
Right.
He doesn't do impressions. He doesn't.
And you wanted me to get into some tragedy in my life?
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Well, I don't know if you want the next 30 minutes to be about gay porn, but I guess I can,
No, like I was going to say, the other shows, they talk about some of the tough parts of their life, and some got into fights, and Danny McDermott got stabbed, almost died. Perry Kurtz was an alcoholic, stopped drinking. Grace Fraga got into horrible dating situations. Henrietta,
Henrietta.
Henrietta. Didn't know that, again, based on my book, I didn't know her parents went through Auschwitz.
Oh, wow.
Can you make it? Yeah, I didn't know. Can you imagine? I've known her for 15 years and never knew that.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's incredible. So, and of course, Rich Scheidner. But,
Yeah, that was the original sleeve tattoo. You had the numbers. It started at the forearm all the way down.
Right, exactly. But I laugh, but it's not. I shouldn't. But here's something again. Here's some things that I didn't know. Tell us a little about you. I didn't know you had cerebral palsy.
Yeah, I was. When I was born, I guess what I was told was the doctor had pinched the right side of my neck slightly and cut off the air supply for like 2 or 3 seconds, and that was enough to affect the left side of my body just slightly. Like I can't bend my toes. I can curl them if I'm on the ground. I can't curl them like my foot is now. And my left hand doesn't respond as quickly. Other than that, I'm very lucky. The doctor said that if they had pinched one of the doctors that
What
examined
do you
me.
mean, when you were born, you mean?
Yeah, when they were bringing me out, they had to twist me, but he pinched it. He pinched my neck apparently too hard for like 1 to 2 seconds, and as a baby, that affected. Yeah, and the doctor that examined me over the years said, if he had pinched me like another 3 or 4 seconds, then my hand would have been completely like you see guys, where it would have been absolutely useless. So. I just took that as a strength because I got teased a lot growing up. I was very skinny. I weighed 120 pounds when I got out of high school.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but I had acne and glasses, so, again, a triple threat. So,
Wow.
But I just grew up just, trying to overcome that. And then in college, I actually started weight training with the guy that lived next to me. He was very cool to me, a guy named Steve Lyons. And he didn't want to take me on at first. He's like, I get up every morning at 6. You better knock on my door. If you're not knocking on my door, I'm going every morning. I just knocked on his door.
Wow.
And I did that for like 2 months constantly. And after that, he started knocking on my door. All right, let's go. And then he spent the summer with me. I had a trailer that my dad had in North Texas, and then we took karate over that summer. So I went from like 135 to 165 in like 4 months of just pure muscle.
Wow.
And then it was weird because girls would actually talk to me and not just to say, get out of my way. And then
Exactly.
I continued to take some martial arts. I continued to weight train and do some other things. And I just don't like bullies. So,
Right.
But the CP and being teased so much as a kid, overcoming that is what allows me to, I think, have a little more understanding with people, that have disabilities,
Well, it is pretty amazing. Again, it goes back to what my book was talking about, and other books I've read, and again, it's a whole perspective on life.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I mean, sometimes people, they bitch and complain about their job, but you know what? You have a job. They complain about where they live in their apartments, but you're not sleeping on a friend's couch. You have an apartment.
And even if you're sleeping
You know
on a
what I
friend's
mean?
couch, you have
I don't
a
have a
friend who has
Mercedes to drive.
Yeah.
But who cares? You have a car.
Yeah.
And this whole materialistic
Well,
thing.
even if you don't have a car, you have a bus. And I was going to
bus,
say,
exactly.
if you're
Right.
sleeping on a friend's couch, you have a friend who has a couch, so you're not completely out there
Exactly.
in the cold. I mean,
Exactly.
you rely. I mean, everybody has to rely on somebody. As friends, you have to be there for people, and I think some people. I can have this too, where I'm a little too prideful to ask for help. I'm willing to give help. I don't like to ask for help.
Okay, right. Right. Well, that's true. Yeah, I don't like to ask for help, But listen, I have a great family. I've been through some pretty tough.
Oh, I have asked for help. It's just not always easy.
Yeah,
Trust me.
yeah. Yeah, I hate asking. Yeah, I hate asking for help too. But I've gotten help through my parents when I was younger, and my brother and all that kind of thing. But yeah, that's the whole thing, is getting into going through some pretty tough times, and then getting through it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Well, I think I was raised, and we're similar in the same age. We're in our 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't like to say my exact age, 52. But here's the thing.
55.
I was raised in a society where if you weren't making enough money, you went out and got a second job. Like,
Exactly.
I asked my dad for money. He goes, you need money? He goes, all right, come on over here. And I walked over. He goes, oh, your legs work. I wasn't sure.
Right.
So go out and get another job. Why? He goes, because that's the way it's done.
Right.
So I was always with the mentality, like, I've never taken unemployment. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Neither have I.
But for me,
Seriously.
I think that's for people that have families and kids that need it. I think this generation, I've seen more young homeless kids in the last 3 years than I've ever seen. Like, you're 21. You kind of gave up a little easy, didn't you? I mean, are you kidding me? You're
Right,
like
I know.
18 and you're on the street begging
know.
for like, you look healthy. You can go out and get a job.
Right.
Nobody wants to work these days. They just want it handed to them.
Exactly.
Not everybody, but a lot of people. But the ones who really push. And that's why I've been out here 15 years. And have I done some things? Yeah, I've been on TV. I've done some things. But am I famous? No. But I'm not jaded. I love what I do. I get up every morning. I try to write. I book. And I'm not like, oh, I can't believe this happened to so-and-so who's 21 and they're famous now and I'm still grinding it out. Well, that's life, you know?
Exactly. That's
Oh, well, you know? You just do it. And then if I'm famous one day, awesome. If I'm not, you know what? I've done stand-up for a living. I'm not working at Subway. I'm not working at Quiznos. And I've got a good life with my wife and things are good, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Does Carrie work too? What is she?
Yeah, she makes posters for me occasionally. That's a joke. Because baby, I make posters. She's actually.
I wasn't sure if she had a second job or not.
She did some stuff for a while where she had this company called Jewelry to Your Doorstep, where you go to trade shows, but it's like 12-hour days, 12 days in a row, and
wow,
it's just really tough. And she's one of the top salesmen. They're always trying to get her to go on the road. I just don't want her there.
Right.
I want her out here showcasing, doing stuff. We shot a sizzle reel for a reality show called Married to Comedy with us and 4 or 5 other couples that are married, and they all do comedy with this company named Media Verite. And they were big on it, but I'll be honest with you, we haven't talked to them in about 4 months, so that's a good indication that they pitched it and nobody's biting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm not like, oh, what's going on with that? Like, I would know. So we did that. She shot a pilot for A&E in New York that looked like it was going to go with some other people. It was like a hidden camera reality show, but with a cast, and it was really, really well done. But A&E decided not to pick it up, so she made some really good money in New York for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Did a sizzle, did a pilot, and then. But again, you just grind it out, you know.
Have you ever been through any life-threatening situations at all?
Well, I don't. Yeah, I have been. I don't know if it has to do with my cerebral palsy, but when
like any, like maybe getting into an accident or.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you the story.
Drugs, alcohol. You wouldn't.
No, I've never done drugs,
okay.
and I drink, but not crazy drink.
Right.
You know, I've never had a DUI or anything like that. You
Right.
know, when I was, I guess I was about 5 or 6 years old, I woke up in a hospital. I don't know what happened. I just woke up in the hospital. My mother said that I was walking through the living room. I was walking right towards the wall, and she goes, honey, be careful. She said, and I hit the wall, and I fell down, and my left arm went up, and they couldn't push it down. And they took me to the hospital, and they examined me for 3 days. And this is like the mid-'60s. Like, this got to be like 68, 69. And they don't know what happened. And they said, he's in a coma. We don't know why. He may never wake up. And then like 3 days later, I woke up. And then it happened one other time. She said, I went to bed, and I didn't wake up. And they were on the way to the hospital, and I woke up in the backseat of the car. And I've never had that happen again. And they don't know what it was. But it might have had something to do with cerebral palsy.
Right.
Even though it's a slight case, like you said, I walk with a little bit of a limp when I don't pay attention to how I walk. When I do, then you can't tell. Like when I do, if I'm doing, movies, and I like to brag, but I've done background. I don't know if you know what that is. I'm kidding, of course. That's, but
So,
other stuff like when I
was in Jersey Boys, which I mentioned Saturday night. But I thought they were supposed to give me some lines to say, but they didn't. But they ended up making me background, but I ended up becoming a major main background. And not only did I hang out with Clint Eastwood for 3 days, and Chris Walken, tough guy, not only did they paid me about $200-300 a day, fed me like a king, but my whole point is that background's not bad. If it's the right movie and you get to hang out with the right people, and what ended up happening is they end up using me in the commercial to promote it. So I was seen by millions of people, and that helped me get my agency. All because of the background. I know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean,
you never know. But did anything major happen bad?
Recently
at all?
I thought I was going to go to prison about 5 years ago.
Oh wow, what happened there?
Well, I was working in Vegas. I was working at the Riviera. This is before I met my wife, and maybe it was about 6 years ago. No, closer to 5. And I met this really pretty black girl on the elevator. I had walked past her in the casino. She was gambling, and she got on the elevator with me, and that's my type. And I got up to my floor, and she was there, and I just walked out. And as I did it, I said, "Wow, gorgeous." And she goes, "What?" I said, "You're gorgeous." She goes, "I think you're hot." I go, "Oh, you should come to my show." So she goes, "Okay." So she walks down. I open the door. I give her my card. I said, I can comp some people in. So are you staying here? She goes, I'm staying here with some friends. I think we're leaving today, though. So I was like, okay. She goes, we're going to Oakland. So I just went to my show, and that night I'm hanging out with my buddy Lou. He's a very cool guy. He knows everybody in Vegas. One of those tall, good-looking dudes that you hate because he's also got a personality.
Oh, yeah.
But he's awesome. He's a day trader, and she calls me. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And she goes, what are you up to? And I go, I'm with my friend. She goes, well, I didn't go to Oakland with my friends. Do you want to get together? And her name was Danielle. I go, yeah, I'd love to get together. So we ended up hooking up, and she stayed. She's like, yeah, I don't know where I'm going to stay now. I go, you can just stay with me for a couple of days. She goes, really? I go, yeah, stay with me. Are you going to Oakland? She goes, yeah, I'll probably go in a couple of days. So I go, just stay with me. So we're banging it out for a couple of days. She came to my show. I took her out a couple times. And then one night we're going to go to dinner before the show. And she goes, I'm going to go down and gamble. And I said, I'm going to make some phone calls to book the shows that like you're on. I still got to work. And she said, I'll be back. And then she didn't come back up. Oh, no, I know what happened. No, I said, well, I'll meet you at Valet at 5:30 so we can go eat.
Right.
I went to Valet. She wasn't there. I waited like 20 minutes. She never came down.
Wow.
Her cell phone went straight to voicemail. I went back upstairs, and like an hour later, I hear a knock on the door.
Right.
And I'm like, hello? And they're like, security. And I thought it was my buddy Lou. So I open up, these two big dudes are there. I'm like, what's going on? They go, you got a girl staying with you? I go, yeah. They go, what's her name? And I go, Danielle. They're like, yeah. We need to get her stuff. And I go, okay. I go, what's up? They go, she's under arrest. And I go,
Under arrest.
What for? And they go, we can't tell you. I'm like, okay. So I gave the stuff. And as I'm closing the door, they go, well, can you come down and make an eyewitness identification? I go, yeah, I guess.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
And luckily, John, I grabbed my smartphone because I put it in my back pocket. I'm walking down, and there was this big, like 6'7" doofy dude with a porn mustache from the 70s. And they go, that's our head of security. I went to shake his hand. He goes, no, don't shake my hand. He goes, that guy's got questions for you. And I go, okay. So this other guy who was very cool starts talking to me, and he goes, so are you doing comedy here? I go, yeah, I'm featuring here for the Riviera. He goes, oh, cool. He goes, how's that going? I go, it's going good. He goes, cool, I just need to get your driver's license real quick. And I go, okay. So he gave him his driver's license, and he took the information down. And then he gave it back to me, and he goes, so you've had this girl staying with you? And I go, yeah. He goes, how'd you meet her? I go, I met her on the casino. I saw her on the casino floor, and then she followed me on the elevator. He goes, and she's been staying with you? I go, yeah. He goes, and you know how old she is? I go, yeah, she's 22. He goes, no, dude, she's 17. And I go, what? He goes, I go, if she's 17,
oh my God,
what is she doing in the casino?
Exactly.
And he goes, I don't know, because we're trying to find it out, because she got kicked out early this week for trespassing.
Oh my God.
So they go, can you give us like 5 minutes? We just have to ask a couple questions. So I go in, and I'm there for I'm there for like 45 minutes. But I go in, and there's this security guard, this older black dude, probably about 45, 46. And when I always mention race, it's just because I'm very visual. I like people to get descriptions.
Right.
This guy was very cool. But I immediately grabbed my smartphone, and I Googled the age of consent in Nevada, and it came up 16.
Ah.
And I was like, holy shit. Oh. Okay. And the guy, he goes, you having a good day? And I go, yeah, it's okay. He goes, you're not nervous? And I go, what? I should be nervous. He goes, well, because what's going on? I go, hey, the age of consent in Vegas is 16, right? And he goes, yep. And I thought, there it is, confirmation. So I'm sitting there, and that big doofy dude came in. He goes, hey, man. I go, what? He goes, I need to talk to you. And I go, okay. He goes, I talked to the girl, and we got a problem. I go, what's the problem? He goes, her story's not jiving with your story. He goes, what? Yeah, she's giving us a different story than what you're giving us. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, she said you had sex. I go, okay. No, he goes, yeah, her story's different. I go, well, who's giving you my side of the story? I go, I haven't talked to anybody about my side. Who's telling you my side of the story? I go, you didn't even want to shake my hand. He goes, well, you had sex with her. And I go, yeah. She's 17. I go, yeah, the age of consent in Vegas is 16, right?
Right.
And he goes, yeah. He goes, you didn't think to ask for an ID? I go, no, apparently I should be working for your effing security force.
Exactly.
Because
yeah.
was she or was she not kicked out earlier this week for trespassing?
Right.
Do you guys not card anybody? So he leaves, and I'm there for like another half hour, and then these cops come in. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, these cops were cool. This guy looked like Joe Rogan, and he had a girl with him. They were in their mid-30s.
Right.
He's got a T-shirt on. He goes, how you doing? I said, dude, I've had better days. He goes, okay, now I'm going to read you your rights. It doesn't mean you're under arrest, but in Vegas, we read the rights first.
Right.
So we can get all the information. I go, okay, so he read me my rights. He goes, okay, so you met this girl here. I go, on the casino floor, yeah, and she followed me on the elevator. He goes, okay, cool. He goes, and she's been staying with you. I go, he goes, you had sex? I go, yeah. He goes, you have oral sex? I go, yeah. He goes, did you use protection? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, you're not in any trouble now because I go, the age of consent is 16. He goes, actually a little younger than that. I'm not going to get into that. He goes, but you're not in trouble for that.
Right.
He goes, okay, so tell me the story. I said, I met her there, blah, 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 friends.
Right.
We're going to Oakland. He goes, what were her friends like? And I go, I never met them. He goes, okay, and she was staying with you. I go, yeah. He goes, now, do you know what she does for a living? I go, yeah, she said she was going to school and she's sponging off her parents. He goes, so you don't know what she does for a living? I go, no, she goes to college. He goes, so you don't know? I go, well, now you're going to tell me she's a prostitute. He goes, she is. She's a 17-year-old runaway prostitute.
Oh, God.
And I said, I didn't give her any money. He goes, you didn't give her any money. I go, well, I gave her some money. He goes, what does that mean? I go, I gave her $20 to gamble one day when I was hanging out with my friends.
Right.
And I took her to lunch twice. I took her to dinner once. But I didn't hand her like a $100 bill for sex. I go, hey, I love black chicks. They like me. Maybe she took a week off. Maybe she's on vacation. He goes, okay. He goes, and how often do you come to Vegas? And I go, I don't know. He goes, well, how often? I go, I don't know. Maybe 3-4 times a year just to work. He goes, okay. I go, oh, are you checking to see if I come in every week for prostitutes? He goes, well, I don't know. I go, well, run my license. I go, I've never been arrested ever, not once. He goes, no, I know that. I go, then why are you asking me? He goes, because I just want to see how you respond. I go, okay, fine. That's how I'm going to respond. He goes, okay. So
she got through it.
So she stayed with you a week. You didn't give her any money, and I go, no. I go, look, I'm not a 6-year-old dude who's 300 pounds with a comb over. I'm a good-looking dude. They like me. I like them. That's how it works. And he goes, okay. I go, what? He goes, you can go. I go, I can go? He goes, yeah. I go, you believe me? He goes, yeah. I go, okay, why? He goes, well, to be honest with you, you're looking right at me. You're not nervous. You're not changing your story. You're not hesitating.
Right.
And you seem a little pissed off. I go, I am pissed. He goes, well, I believe you. I go, can I work the rest of the week? He goes, why not? I go, I don't know. I've never been in this situation. He goes, okay, you can go. He goes, I'm sure you can work. And I go, all right, I won't sleep with anybody the rest of the week. He goes, well, I go, I won't fuck anybody under 50.
Oh, my God.
And then as I'm walking out, another card comes in, and he says, hey, my boss, that big doofy dude, still needs to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, why? And he goes, he just needs to talk to you. And the cop goes, yeah, I want to know why. So he leaves, comes back, he goes, well, my boss says he just needs to talk to him. And the cop goes, you know what? That's fine. But if he's going to talk to him, he's going to do it in front of me because I'm a cop and he's a fucking security guard. And I outrank him. And I said he could go. So I have a couple questions for your boss, like how do 17-year-old prostitutes keep getting in this club, in this casino?
Right.
So the guy leaves and he comes back. He goes, okay, sir, you can go. Then
Wow.
there it is. No cussing. Is that I?
No.
Okay, we got to wrap it.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah, that's long. That's a long story.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
It's
Well,
okay. I'll probably I edit a lot of the stuff.
Oh, don't edit that. That's a great story.
Okay,
What are you
okay.
kidding me? Come on, man. No. I mean, that's gonna up your listeners because I didn't go to jail.
So, yes. Anyways, and now that's a pretty amazing story, actually. We always end up our podcast with an inspirational, positive thing that you went through. What's a really quick thing that you can say to everybody listening, either comedians or actors or people in general?
Well, you know what? I'm going to just mimic what you said earlier, which is absolutely, I believe this, John. Do what you love to do. I was making $220,000 a week a year at the strip clubs, but it was still a job.
Right.
I had a vision to do stand-up comedy. I came out here to do stand-up. Do I make the money I used to make? No, not nearly what I was making.
Right, exactly.
But I make a good living, and you know what? I am so happy because I remember driving down at 35 years old, starting my life over, and I could not have been happier. And I've never, ever regretted my decision because you got to do what you love. And like you said, even if you don't become the most, listen, you're still in the grind. You're talented. You're doing this podcast. You're doing other things. Are you going to make it big? You might. You have all the things in play to help you make it, but you can't do it in Des Moines, Iowa, working, at a hardware store. You chose this life. You moved out here. You made it happen. You were from where were you born again?
I was raised in Rochester, New York.
I went to high school in Goshen near Middletown, so very close to you.
Yeah.
But I really believe people are so afraid now to make a decision. Give it your all, you know what? And don't be afraid to my buddy said, what if you don't make it in 5 years? Then it'll be 10. What if you make 10? Then it'll be 15. If it's 20. Dane Cook, it took him 18 years. People forget.
I know.
It took him 18 years before people knew who he was.
That's right.
So if I make it next year, I'm 2 years ahead of the curve. I'm not afraid to just keep putting myself out there. But do what you love and don't be afraid. And if your friends tell you you don't have what it takes, then they're not your friends.
Don't hang out with them.
They're not your friends.
Yeah. And we know people like that.
We all know when we're in love. We all know when we have something inside us that says, I'm meant for better things.
Yeah, exactly. That's and I'm glad you said that. And that's a lot of the comedians that I interviewed basically said the same thing. And I agree 100%, that there's a lot of people I know that again, they work their jobs. And I ask them, and this is part of my book and some of the shows that I do. And I asked him, I said, I'll give you 30 seconds to answer this. What would you do the rest of your life if you could do anything you want and make a living at it? What would you do? And you just think about it, And sometimes they don't answer. Sometimes they'll say something. I want to... I wanted to be a doctor, or I wanted to be an actor. And a lot of people who wanted to become actors,
Right.
And I said, why don't you do it? Oh, there's no money in it. I don't want. I just didn't pursue it. Well, why didn't you? I don't know why. Same thing I said like a few minutes ago. So the bottom line is, you just do it. You never know until you do it. And just like TK said, it's a perfect thing. Unless you try it, you'll never know. Who cares how long it takes you? 15, 18, 20 years. But as long as you make it, then you can look back and say, yeah, I didn't give up. I listened to Jon and TK. I listened to Rich Scheidner. I listened to all these other people on the show. And I went for it, and I did it. Now I'm happy doing whatever I want to do. And this is fantastic. Again, even if you can't do it full time, just go for it and work another job,
Even if you don't become a huge star, if you were able to make a living doing it,
or make a living or make some extra money, or just do it for the passion of doing it.
Yeah.
Just because you love to do it. That's all. That's the whole thing. So, on that note, we are done for our show. It's great to have TK, and for sometimes a few years I go without seeing you, and now we get to do your show. We had a great time, and we'll do some more shows together.
Yeah, we're going to book you again.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I had a really great time, and it was great to have my friends there, and they came and supported me with my brother and so on. But again, thank you for everyone listening to this podcast. Of course, go and see TK. I think you're on YouTube. Don't you have videos and things?
No, you want to go to TKO Comedy. That's the stuff from the thing I shot for Comedy Central and Comics and Leashes up there, and some of the old clips from the Best Damn Sports Show from way long ago. So it's
I got.
Yeah, it's in black and white before sound. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I got stuff exactly. I got stuff a long time ago too, man.
Yeah, you got your guest star on Baywatch still up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
25 years ago.
I got my background from Wild Wild West still going.
Yeah, exactly. I was one of the red shirt guys on Star Trek. Okay,
Yeah, I used to be a stand-in for Chaplin.
Yeah. It's the old school stuff, but
yep.
So again, thank you very much, everybody, for listening, and we have some more great comedians coming up, and we're working on getting some huge celebrities very soon. We're working on that, and possibly you'll hear this if everything goes well, you'll hear it on iHeartRadio.
Nice.
So, working on that. So thank you very much again. This is Jon Pirincci, Comics Karma. As usual, follow your dreams, just do it, and God bless everyone.